Welcome to the award-winning Superhuman Academy podcast, where we interview extraordinary people to give you the skills and strategies to overcome the impossible. And now, here's your host, Jonathan Levy.
This episode is brought to you by Blue Blocks. Blue and green light is destroying our sleep, hormones, and performance, and that's why it's important to wear blue light blocking glasses. But did you know that all blue light glasses aren't created equal? I personally have started wearing Blue Blocks blue light blocking glasses, as they are the only blue light blocking company in the world that create evidence-backed lenses for filtering blue and green light. Their Australian lab-built lens technology is fitted into the most fashionable frames, and they even can make prescription and reading glasses in their optics lab. Whether it's their Sleep Plus glasses that block 100% of blue and green light, their Summer Glow mood booster glasses, or their blue light computer glasses, Blue Blocks has you covered. I wear my Sleep Plus glasses 2 to 3 hours before bed, and my sleep has never been better, and I feel so well rested. The daytime ones are also great at reducing digital eye strain, headaches, and lowering stress. With free and fast worldwide shipping using code SUPERHUMAN at checkout, now is an amazing time to level up your sleep and eye health. Just go to blueblocks.com, that's BLUBLOX.com, and enter code SUPERHUMAN to save 15%. Greetings, Super Friends, and welcome to this week's episode, which is lovingly crafted thanks to an amazing 5-star review from Frank H123, who titled his review, "My Most Important Source of Information. The Superhuman Academy podcast is my most important source of gaining new knowledge. Jonathan invites guests that are truly inspiring and life-changing. I've had many times that the episode was an introduction to a topic that would improve my life. I'm really grateful for the amount of hard work the Superhuman Academy team is putting into getting all of these guests on the show. By listening to this show, you'll get a new virtual mentor in your life named Jonathan." Wow, Frank, that is such a wonderful review. Thank you so much for leaving it. And for those of you who have not left a review, please do go ahead and do so. On to today's episode with a wonderful guest. Today, I was joined by Dr. Bill Sears, father of 8, author of 47 books, former associate professor at the University of Toronto, University of South Carolina, and the University of Southern California School of Medicine, as well as honestly many universities. He's appeared on over 100 national TV shows. His contributions to family and health were featured on the cover of Time magazine. I think that's the first time I've ever had a guest who's been featured on the cover of Time magazine. And he currently lectures on mental wellness. And I think one of the more impressive things about his bio is that he has been a pediatrician for 50 years. Yes, he is 80 years old and still full of energy and vitality, as you will see on the show, which alone gives him so much credibility in today's topic, which is the topic of brain health, something that we all should be concerned about, because as I was shocked to learn in this episode that actually brain health has now outpaced heart disease as one of the leading killers, if not the leading killer in America. I was shocked to discover that. And in this episode, we talk about the 5 pillars of brain health as discussed in Dr. Sears' latest book, The Healthy Brain Book, published in April of 2020. I learned a lot in this episode, and it was a great review for a lot of the things that I talk about in our Super Learner Masterclass: the importance of sleep, the importance of the right nutrition, and not all that is billed as healthy nutrition is the right nutrition, the importance of exercise, and I learned additional new things that really blew my mind, and I think are going to blow your mind as well. This episode has something for everyone, whether you're concerned about your parents and their brain health as they get into older age, whether you're concerned about yourself and doing things now that are going to allow you to live a long and full life with a healthy brain, or if, like me, you are expecting a child and want to do everything you can from pregnancy onward to ensure that that child has a healthy and happy brain. Again, something for everyone. I really enjoyed this episode, and I know you will too, with Dr. Bill Sears. Dr. Sears, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you, Jonathan. Happy to be with you.
Likewise, I'm really excited to talk about brain health today because it's a topic I think you and I are both very, very passionate about.
Oh, yes. And in fact, this is my favorite subject now, Jonathan, because we we have our brand new book, just came out, called The Healthy Brain Book. And I'm so passionate about brain health because up until the past couple of years, heart health was the number one problem in America. And it's only been in the past couple of years that the brain is now sicker than the heart.
Oh my goodness.
So
is that because of Alzheimer's?
Disease is now more common than and more severe than cardiovascular disease.
I did not know that. That is quite alarming. I want to get deeper into that, but I do want to ask you, Dr. Sears, you've written 47 books at the last time I checked. Tell me a little bit about the start of your journey, the start of your career, and what brought you down this path that has led you to be so interested in brain health.
Well, what led me down the path to brain health, Jonathan, is in my medical practice. I've been a pediatrician now for 50 years, my 50th year in practice.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
And the reason is I love holding babies. I just love holding babies.
That's awesome.
And then I would start seeing adults too at all ages. And I had my young parents would bring in there, it was kind of funny. My young parents would bring in their mom and dad for a consultation for perhaps early Alzheimer's. And the mom would say, "Now, Dad, just sit still and pay attention to what Dr. Bill has to say." So over the years, I began to realize that the number one concern of younger people is losing my mind. Losing my mind is the number one concern. So then I thought, okay, I have to write a book about it. Well, then I read a whole bunch of books. In fact, I have 76 brain books in my library. And I realized that most brain health books are written by neurologists to be read by neurologists. And when you read a book on the brain, first of all, you want to smile. Because when it's called in brain health emotional arousals, when you look at a page and you smile or you laugh, it opens up your brain so you can learn more. So that was the first thing I wanted to do. It's not only what I write, but how it's presented on each page, that I wanted to rivet the reader to come home with a lot of take-home tips. So that is the background for which our book was written. And I realized I needed a co-author too, an expert in Alzheimer's, for example. And so I co-authored it with Dr. Vince Fortunes. Vince is professor of neurology and psychiatry at University of Southern California School of Medicine, also an author. And so Vince and I, over the last 3 years, we would get together periodically and put everything we've learned in our medical practices in our book, The Healthy Brain Book.
That's fantastic. And I gather the impression that your work is for healthy brains of all ages, but also covers, how do we keep our children's brains healthy just because of your extensive experience as a pediatrician?
Yes, we wanted it to make it at all ages, because so we start with babies. Again, I sorry, back to babies, but I just love babies.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about babies. I'm expecting one.
And it's just a baby's brain grows the fastest in the first couple of years. It triples in size in the first couple of years, and then the brain goes through another growth spurt. In teenager, the teen brain, the marvelous and challenging teen brain. We have 8 children, and we've survived 8 teenagers. That's my gray hair. And then the middle age, from 20 to 40. And what I've noticed, Jonathan, is the younger people, the 20 to 40 age group, they're looking at Alzheimer's, and they're looking at their mom and dad and their grandparents, some losing their mind. In fact, the most scary statistic is that 85, over the age of 85, 50% of us will lose part of our mind. So the young people are looking at this and says, okay, what can I do right now to not be one of those scary statistics. And I call it in our book, preload your brain. Preload your brain in the younger years with a lot of tools so that you can enjoy your mind, healthy mind, in your golden years.
Yeah, I absolutely can identify with what you're saying, because my family does have a history of Alzheimer's, and I have recently, and if my father's listening, he can attest to this, I have been on his case to go get checked, to be constantly, aware of his mental state, because it's in our family. And I think a lot of people my age, exactly as you said, look to their parents and are worried. We're scared as hell. I'm scared as hell for my parents to suffer from this debilitating, awful disease. So talk to me a bit about these tools that we should start when we're young. Most of our audience is in that age range, the 24 to 40-year-old age range. What should we be doing to maintain our brain health today?
Sure. Now, you to make it very easy for our viewers and listeners, you hold the 5 keys to your brain health in the palm of your hand. So you look at your palm of your hand, and the first is eat smart. And the second is move smart. Movement mobilizes the blood flow to your brain, so move smart. Thirdly is think smart. Think smart. Fourthly is sleep smart. And then the last is serve smart. You feel good by doing good. So that's the and of those all, the first is smart foods. Smart foods, Jonathan, and how I explain it to parents in my office is for smart foods. Okay, Dr. Bell, smart foods. I say, all right, the brain is mostly fat. All right, point number 1. And I'll see this, well, yes, so what? You're a fathead. Okay, Jonathan, you're a fathead, I'm a fathead, we're all fatheads. I've been using that term for over 20 years in my office, and that gets their attention. And what is it about fat that decays, turns rancid? Ever left a piece of fresh fish out overnight and on the counter, and you, by mistake, you smelled it in the morning, it turns rancid, it stinks. Well, the medical term for that is it oxidizes. Fat oxidizes. Therefore, if our brain is prone to oxidation or rust and wear and tear, then we need to eat more antioxidants. And I'll look at my patients when I'm explaining this and say, oh, Dr. Bill, that makes sense. See, and that's what we do in our book. We want at the end of every paragraph, we want the reader to say, oh, that makes sense. I'm a fathead. Fatheads oxidize. I need to eat more antioxidants. I could do that. And then they say, well, what are your top foods for antioxidants? I said, well, Dr. Mom, let's go back to my favorite neurologist, Dr. Mom, eat more fruits, veggies, berries, and seafood.
Yes.
And go outside and play. So I take our readers through, and the first, Jonathan, what's really important is the worst dietary advice to ever hit the American brain was low-fat diets. They took the fat out of food, and they put in junk carbs, and we all got fatter and sicker. So that was the first thing I wanted to reverse. It's a smart fat diet, not a low-fat diet. Smart fats, your brain is mostly fat, therefore we need a smart fat diet.
I love it. So pick up on that salmon, eating avocado, healthy natural fats. Tree nuts, I imagine, are really, really great. And I imagine anything with a lot of omega-3 fatty acids probably is also going to be really good for the brain.
Oh, you just nailed it, Jonathan. Absolutely. The smartest fat in the brain are omega-3 fats. And it just so happens that the smartest fats in a fillet of salmon are omega-3s. And in fact, we have a page in our book where we list the top nutrient content of the brain, the top 10 nutrients. And then we list the top 10 nutrients in a fillet of salmon, and it's a wonderful match. So just as you mentioned the three perfect, the salmon, wild salmon, my vote for number one. Then eggs, an egg a day, a measly 75 calories, smart fats, avocados, olive oil, nuts. Those are my favorite five. And then I go on to berries, and greens. Greens are great for the brain. Berries,
chia seeds,
blueberries,
I'm sure.
the brain berries. So those are just smart foods.
I love that. And yeah, in our household, we are expecting a baby in October. And so we're loading up on those omegas, whether it's omega rich eggs or even chia seeds, which is actually what they feed the chickens to get their eggs to be omega rich. So we're big proponents of DHA in this household.
Well, congratulations on expecting your baby.
Thank you.
And so one little tip on that. This is sort of new science, and we actually have a book on that too called the Healthy Pregnancy Book. And it's interesting that the number one nutrient that pregnant moms need to be taking is omega-3s. And they say, well, how much, Dr. Bill? I say a gram a day. Very easy to remember, a gram a day, I say. And when you think about it, see, especially the third trimester of pregnancy, a baby's brain grows the most in the third trimester of pregnancy. So if the baby's brain is growing the fastest, that's when the mother needs to eat the smartest. That makes sense. And then after birth is when mother continues her omega-3s, because this is fascinating. I always wondered in my practice, why postpartum depression? And I thought, well, mothers lose sleep and all the wear and tear on the body, and they're healing, and it makes sense. Now we know that one of the top causes of postpartum depression and blues in a pregnant mom is an omega-3 deficiency. And the reason is the omegas are your top brain fat. And the little growing fathead inside literally uses up most of the omega-3s. So that's how babies grow. When there's not enough to grow around, baby gets first dibs. And then after birth, that little sucker, let's call him, that little sucker literally sucks the omega-3s out of mom, and mom doesn't have enough. So really, that is the number one nutrition tip I could give expectant and breastfeeding moms, is to a gram a day.
Oh, wow. That's really fantastic to know. I didn't realize that the DHA and omega leaching or sucking it, to your term, comes also from the breastfeeding, not just from the baby development.
Yes. And that's what we found. In fact, one of my favorite chapters in the book is on gut development. And when you mention breastfeeding, there's a second brain in the body. And where do you think that second brain is, Johnson?
In the gut.
Aha, in the gut. You've been reading the right books.
I've done a few of these interviews.
And it's called the second brain. Mm-hmm. And the gut brain. And when a baby is born, the lining of the gut is called the microbiome. The microbiome is the most magical word in medicine right now. The microbiome simply means that the community of healthy bacteria and other gut bugs that live in your gut, the lining of your gut, and in return for free food and a warm place to live, these gut bugs are actually a pharmacy inside. they make medicines for your gut brain and your head brain and the whole body. So when a mother breastfeeds her baby right after birth, it's like planting the seed. The seeds in her breast milk go down into her baby's second brain, the gut garden down there, and plant the seed for a healthy microbiome. Wow. And this is all sort of new discoveries that they've found, that again, the importance of, it's not only the smartest fats in breast milk, but it's how you make the second brain smarter.
Hey, listen up and don't skip over this. I want to let you know that I am giving away completely free copies of my latest best-selling book, The Only Skill That Matters. This book is going to teach you how to upgrade your memory, read faster, learn more, and conquer your dreams. And it contains all new content written for 2020. Now, again, I am giving away completely free copies of this book. All you need to do is pay shipping and handling. So, to pick up your free copy as a listener of this podcast, visit freelearningbook.com. That's freelearningbook.com. Now, there were 5 items on this checklist. I want to touch a lot on Think Smart, because this is what I do in my day job. But I want to also touch on exercise. I mean, it makes sense, as you said, you want the reader to understand and say, hey, that makes sense. Is there any preference for type of exercise that's particularly beneficial to the brain?
Sure. Well, the right exercise for you is the one you will consistently do. So let's talk about exercise, and what I'm going to tell you actually won the Nobel Prize. And this is fascinating. And this is why, again, getting back to my favorite neurologist, Dr. Mom. Dr. Mom said, go outside and play. Go outside and play. I still remember that. My mom, her treatment for boredom and bad behavior, go outside and play. Okay, so follow me closely now as I take you inside your brain. When you move, any type of movement, walking, swimming, dancing, just any type of movement, then the blood vessels, picture a blood vessel. We've got a whole picture, a whole page diagram in our book. The lining of your blood vessels contains trillions of little microscopic medicine bottles. And that's what won the Nobel Prize, that we have a pharmacy inside our blood supply. So picture these little squirt bottles, trillions of them, and the lining of your blood vessels. Now, when you move, the blood flows faster over the tops of the medicine bottles, the lining of your blood vessels, and you release medicines into your bloodstream. And those medicines go to your brain. So if you want to have some fun, say, Jonathan, say you're out walking with a bunch of friends tomorrow, and you're walking real fast. And you could say real loud, oh, I'm opening my own pharmacy. I'm making my brain medicines. And one of those brain medicines is called brain growth factor, fertilizer for the brain garden. You could even say, oh, it feels so good to be walking so fast. I'm fertilizing my brain garden. And the reason that the brain is one of the top recipients of movement is it is a very vascular organ. The brain uses 20 to 25% of all the blood flow your heart pumps out. So, and this is a very important point for all medicine. The better your blood flow, the better every organ, especially the brain. The better your blood flow to the brain, the better your brain. And that's what movement does. Now, there was another part of why outside. And this is fascinating. I learned this over in Japan when Martha and I were giving a lecture on brain health. And after the talk, my brain was very tired. So they took us out into a forest, and we walked in the woods. And I felt so good. And then I started studying this, and there's a whole university over in Tokyo, Nippon University, that studies what happens in your brain after a good old walk in the woods. So they wired up people, and they found out right after the walk in the woods, their stress hormones went down, their happy hormones in their brain went up, their immune system was better, and right now that's important to have a healthier immune system. And so what neurologists do, there's a fabulous book called Your Brain on Nature. What neurologists talk about is exercise squared. Movement outdoors is exercise squared. So go outside and move.
What's the mechanism for that, doctor? Is it, higher oxygen concentration? Is it the sunlight, or is it just something, energetically that we're born to be outside? Or do they know even?
Well, I think it's all of what you mentioned, Jonathan. The outdoors, our eyes are the windows to the brain. So EYE, I feel good. Now, when you go outside and you look up natural colors, not artificial screen, but natural colors, the blue, the greens, and all the beautiful sights of nature, it makes your eye feel good, and though your eye sends these messages into the center of your brain, the calming center and the happy center, that says, I feel good. So I think it's the colors of nature and there's something peaceful about nature. And this is why I tell my young people in my office, I give them little one-liners to remember: screen less, sky more. Screen less, sky more. And I say, take eye breaks. If you're on your computer a lot, just look out the window and look up at the sky and say hi to the sky. It's also good for text neck, because these young people they look like older people now. They're bent over all the time. So just spread out your arms and say hi to the sky. I feel so good when I do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I don't expect you to give us all the information in your book, but I do want to talk about Think Smart. That particularly caught my attention. What does that mean, Think Smart? Is this brain exercises, or what is that pillar of this optimal brain health?
About for Sleep Smart, is that what you mentioned?
Think Smart. You'd said
Think Smart. Yes, Think Smart. Good. And I'm glad we're working down the 5 tips. See, Think Smart, if your brain could talk, and it does, we just don't listen enough, it says, don't stress me out. Happy thoughts. I call it positivity. Promotes longevity. Negativity promotes what we call neurotoxicity. Something sounds like something you don't want your brain to get. Now, this has been well studied. When they wired up people in a laboratory with these windows into the brain now called neuroimaging. And when they think happy thoughts, their happy center lights up. When they think negative thoughts, their sad center lights up. And it's interesting where they've studied people where they've trained them. I call it think change in your brain in our book. The medical term is cognitive behavioral therapy. Think change your brain. And this is fascinating research where they've taken patients and they say, okay, Joe, I want you to think positive all day long. Happy thoughts only, happy thoughts only, happy thoughts only. No ants in your brain, ANTS, no automatic negative thoughts. Only happy thoughts. Think this. And they studied Joe after 8 weeks and found that the sad and worry center in his brain shriveled up in size, and the happy center in his brain grew in size. So what these new studies are showing us, we can change the structure of our brain by the thoughts we put into it. And I have a whole one of our longest chapters in our book. We call it reframing. Think this, not that. Reframing happy thoughts, happy thoughts.
That's fantastic. And so good to know that thinking positive thoughts is actually not only has an impact on obviously your experience in life, but also your actual brain health. Now, before we move on entirely, I do want to mention Sleep Smart. I talk a lot about sleep, doctor. I'm always telling my audience, I'm always pushing them, get more high quality sleep. But I imagine there's an additional angle here for brain health. So I just want to hear, on one foot, what does it mean to sleep smart, optimizing for brain health?
Thank you, Jonathan. And you mentioned the term high quality sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take our listeners into their brain at night. See, when you sleep, your immune system does not. And during sleep, here's what happens. It's like you're going into a detox center. So just imagine for a few seconds, you're going into a detox center. So you go into your sanctuary, I call it, your sleep sanctuary. And as soon as you drift off to sleep and you get into sleep, a quality sleep, the first thing that happens is called house cleaning. There are fantastic little cells, trillions of them, called glia cells, Glia, glia cells, and they're the housekeepers of the brain. Another term for them, the garbage collectors of your brain. And they come out at night. And they come out and they clean up the brain from the garbage thoughts and all the metabolism of the brain is a hypermetabolism. So all the stuff, the biochemicals that are floating around. So it starts sweeping the brain clean of all the junk. Gets better. The vessels of your brain, called the lymphatic system, the rivers, the fluid rivers that flow through your brain, they widen at night. So the glia cells can dump more garbage into more rivers. And this is why it's called the lymphatic system, which simply means there are more garbage collectors and more rivers to get rid of the garbage when you sleep. So think about that as sleep is detox. Sleep is detox. And the better you sleep, the better your brain. Now, this is why one of our top tips, I'm glad you mentioned it, is Sleep Smart. And we actually have pictures where we take the reader through the lymphatic system. And when I talk about this in my office, patients will look at, wow, that's going on while I sleep, during quality sleep, that's going on. Okay, I'll get some quality sleep. And then they say, well, how do I do that, Dr. Bill? Now, first of all, the more you move during the day, the better you sleep at night. That makes sense. The brain says, hey, you wore the body out during the day, I'm going to rest at night. And then I call it lights out an hour before bedtime. This is not the time to check your cell phone, check the bad news. I call it, say, good night to bad news. The worst time to watch the news is before you go to bed. And that's the time when people often do. So no screen out at least an hour before bedtime. And don't eat big meals 3 hours before bedtime. Keep a list of what I call your personal snooze foods. Everybody is different, but it's generally high protein foods. My favorite snooze food is tuna, eggs, and about once or twice a month, I'll have a wild game that my friends send me, a wild venison burger, and then you lie down to sleep. And then when you get up in the morning, we're kind of dehydrated. Our brain hasn't had any fluid all night, so drink 2 glasses of water as soon as you get up to rehydrate your brain.
Absolutely. So, wow, we've covered so much, Dr. Sears. I do want to ask, are there any other habits, skills, strategies that you recommend for brain health or just otherwise for optimal performance and health in your patients, and things that you do maybe throughout your day to remain at a superhuman level of performance?
So let's talk about meditation. Meditation, I start teaching meditation to my patients at 7 years of age. And I have mom and dad lie down with baby or with their children beginning at 7 years of age for meditation techniques. And I call it I am. Now, no matter how life sucks, and it does some days, we all have a few things to be thankful for. So I have mom and dad, whoever put our caregiver, whoever puts the child to bed, say, think of a few things, honey, that you're grateful for. Oh, I am funny. I am smart. I am a good soccer player. And then for the older kids, I have them write everything that they're thankful for in big letters and put it on their bathroom mirror as they're brushing their teeth. I say, I am grateful for. Thank you for my mom and dad. Thank you for my life. Thank you for, and I do this before I go to bed. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my wife. See, the attitude of gratitude is a wonderful meditation inducer, and it quiets the brain. It quiets the brain. And it's a good way to start the day, too. You get up in the morning, you don't rush to check your email and everything. You look outside and you think about 3 or 4 things that I'm thankful for. And it's called preloading the brain. And then our final tip in the hands, we have eat smart, think smart, move smart, sleep smart, and serve smart. And we've learned so much about serving smart with all the stuff that's going on right now, the heroes around our country. And I see how people are serving other people, how wonderful it is to live in the United States of America, people serving one another, the healthcare providers, the heroes out there. And I call it the helper's high, meaning that your brain feels good when you help somebody else feel good. The helper's high. There's wonderful medicine for your brain. So that's my 5th tip, was serve smart.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Dr. Sears, I know we've pretty much come up on time here. I do want to ask you, because you've not only written so many books, but you've read so many books. So in addition to your latest book, what are some of the books that have most impacted your life that you most recommend to your patients?
Well, starting early on, I have them get the Healthy Pregnancy book, and then the baby book, and then they have the Discipline book. They even have an omega-3 book. We have the Portable Pediatrician. We have the Attention Deficit book. We have a book on gut health called Dr. Pooh. It's kind of a fun health book. And we have the Inflammation Solution for those who have inflammation. Primetime Health for our seniors. And one of our favorite is we have a health institute called the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute, Jonathan, where we train and certify health coaches. And now we've trained almost 11,000 health coaches in 22 countries around the world.
Wow.
So you can find out a lot about our books and our educational seminars on our health coaching at Dr. Sears, Dr. Sears Wellness Institute.org. That's Dr. Sears Wellness Institute.org. And our website, AskDrSears.com, shows a whole list of our books.
Fantastic. Dr. Sears, this has been such a pleasure, and I've learned so much from you today, and I want to thank you. Before I let you go, though, I do always ask one question of our guests, and it is, if people take away one big overarching message from this episode and they carry that with them for the rest of their lives, what would you hope for that message to be?
Well, in one sentence, I would say eat more fruits, veggies, berries, and seafood, and go outside and play.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Bill Sears, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to keeping in touch.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. It's been an honor to be with you.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the award-winning Superhuman Academy podcast. For more great skills and strategies, or for links to any of the resources mentioned in this episode, visit superhuman.blog. While you're at it, please take a moment to share this episode with a friend and leave us a review on iTunes. We'll see you next week.